Welcome to A-Level and AP Physics. In today's lesson, we will discuss past paper questions from May June 2023, Paper 1, Variant 1. In today's lesson, our main focus will be on mechanics questions, and we will discuss these questions in detail so you can improve your conceptual understanding of mechanics, and also you can have better understanding of these exam questions. Let's study together, let's improve together. In today's class, we are talking about May June 2023 Paper 1 Variant 1. Total time for this exam is 1 hour and 15 minutes, and there are 40 questions on this paper. You need to answer all of them. And the total mark for this paper is 40. On second page of exam paper, you can find some important data and also you can find some important formulae. So in the exam, if you need value of any constants, you can come to the second page of exam paper and you can find values of constants. And also some basic formulae are given to you. If you have forgotten any formulae, you can come to this page and you can double check. Question 1 says, which unit is not an SI base unit? We have 7 SI base units. So if you look at the first unit, this is ampere and this is SI base unit of electric current. So this is right. kg, this is SI base unit of mass. Coulomb. Coulomb is not SI base unit, and also this is not SI base quantity, because charge is not SI base quantity. So our answer for this question has to be C, because this is not SI base quantity. So charge is not SI base quantity. Second, this is unit of time, and time is SI base quantity, and this is SI base unit. So the answer for this question is C. Question 2 says, what is the best estimate of the number of atoms in a piece of metal of volume 50 cubic centimeters? For this question, we need to calculate the number of atoms. So if we have the volume of single atom, we can calculate the number of atoms. Means we can divide the given volume by volume of single atom and we can figure out number of atoms. And in order to find volume of single atom, we need diameter or radius of single atom. So we will start with diameter of single atom. Diameter of single atom, simply we can say, is equal to 1.0 times 10 to minus 10 meters. And this number is important. You need to remember diameter of single atom. From here we can find out volume of single atom. So we can write on volume will be equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube. Pi r cube. So we can simplify this. We can write on 4 by 3 pi. So we have diameter divided by 2. So this is the radius. And if we simplify this one, we will get 4 by 3 pi d cube divided by 8. So we can cancel 8 with 4. So we will get 2 here. So finally we will get here. This is pi by 6 d cube. Now we can plug in value of this diameter. So we can write down here, this is pi by 6, diameter is 1.0 times 10 to minus 10 cube of this one. So if we solve this, we will get 1.0 times 10 to minus 30 meters cube. Approximate this one. This value is approximate. We will get approximate answer up to this value. So this is the approximate value. Little bit smaller, but we are writing the approximate. We just need to estimate. So you can approximate this is equal to this. Now simply we can divide. So we can find out the number of atoms now. Number of atoms. So we have to calculate number of atoms. So number of atoms will be equal to the total volume, means the volume given to us, divided by volume of single atom. So we have volume of single atom. So volume of single atom. So total volume we have, that is 50 cubic centimeters. So this is 50 cubic centimeters. And this volume we have, this is equal to 1.0 times 10 to minus 30, means about this value. Now we need to change this unit. So we need to understand 1 centimeter. This is equal to 10 to minus 2 meters. And if we take cube on both sides, this will be equal to 10 to minus 6 cubic meters. So this is the point you need to understand, how to convert units. So here we have 50 times 10 to minus 6. This is meter cube, and this is also meter cube. So here we have 1.0 times 10 to minus 30 meters cube. And now we can cancel this. Meter cube we can cancel with meter cube. So if we simplify, we will get about 5.0 times 10 to 25. 10 to 25. So these are the number of atoms in 50 cubic centimeters of matter. So the answer for this question is B. So B is the right answer. So this is how you can figure out. So this is how you can figure out. You can see there is a big difference. So this approximation is a very good one because it will make your calculation simpler. So you can see this is 25, this is 15. So you can approximate equal to this value. So this is about 0.5. So we are just using 1.0 to make calculation simpler because in the exam time is limited. Question 3 says a copper pipe has a true diameter of 42.03 millimeters. A builder measures the diameter of the pipe 5 times using digital calipers. The measurements are shown in the table, which describes the builder's measurements. So first of all, in this case, we need to understand what is meaning of accurate. Accurate means that measured value is close to true value. If the measured value is close to true value, it means measurements are accurate. So if you look at true value, we have in this case that is equal to 42.03 millimeters. We can calculate the mean value of this one, and the mean value will be about 48.00. So you can see these two values are not close to each other. So it simply means that not accurate. So these measurements are not accurate. So this is one thing we can say about the measurements. Now we need to look at precision. Values are precise if they are close to each other. Or the range is very small, so we can calculate range in this case. We have the maximum value, that is 48.01, minus we can write down minimum value 47.99. So in this case, range is about 0.02 millimeters. So the range is very narrow, and you can also see these values are very close to each other. It means these values are precise. So these measurements are not accurate, but these measurements are precise because readings are close to each other. So the answer for this question is D, precise but not accurate. Measurements can be precise, but measurement cannot be accurate. It is also possible measurements are not precise, but measurements are accurate. Accuracy and precision, these are two different terms. So they do not depend on each other. So these are independent two terms. So this concept has to be very clear in your mind. Question 4 says two forces each of 10 newtons act at a point P as shown in the figure. The angle between directions of the forces is 120 degrees. What is the magnitude of the resultant force? So we need to find out the magnitude of resultant force. Simply we need to add these two forces. So for this question, it is given to us that angle between these two forces is 120 degrees. So simply what we can do is we can draw first of all this arrow, and then we can move this arrow. We can move this vector from here. We can move this one in backward direction. Now you can see here we can add these two vectors now, because we have to follow head to tail method when we add vectors. Head to tail method. So this is very important one. So that's the reason I moved this vector from here to here. So I can follow head to tail method and I can find the resultant vector of these two vectors. So now we need to find out the sum of these two, and the sum will be the vector starting from the tail of first vector to the head of last vector. And so this is our resultant. Now if this angle is 120 degrees, how about the angle between these two vectors now? This angle. So this angle is 60 degrees. We can say this one is A, so this vector is 10 newtons, and this vector we can say is B. This is also 10 newtons. So we need to find out C. Now simply we can use cosine law. So we can write down cosine law. Cosine law. According to cosine law, if you have angle between two vectors, we can write down the C square in this case will be equal to A square plus B square minus 2AB, and the angle between two vectors, cosine of angle between these two vectors is 60 degrees. So this is how we can find out C. So C will be equal to A square plus B square minus 2AB cosine of 60 degrees. So we can take root of this. So we can write down here, so we have 10 square plus we have 10 square minus we have 2, so here we have 10, here we have 10, and cosine of 60 degrees, this is 1 by 2, so this is 1 by 2, so we have to take the root of this. So here we have 100 plus 100, so simply we have 200 minus we have 200, and this 2 we can cancel with this 2, so we have 100 here. So simply we left with 100, so we have to take the root of this, so this is equal to 10, so this is 10 newtons. So the answer for this question is B. The common misconception with many students is when they see this one, they assume angle between two vectors is 120, and they can simply use cosine law and they get wrong answer. So you need to apply first of all head to tail method, then you need to figure out the angle. Very important point. And this question is a repeated question. You can also see in other papers. So this is a repeated one. Question 5 says one object moves directly from P to R. In a shorter time, a second object moves from P to Q and then from Q to R. Which statement about the two objects is correct for the journey from P to R? So first of all, if you look at P goes from P to R directly. So this is the journey of P to R. And the second object, it travels from P to Q, goes like this, and then from Q to R. So this is the journey of the second object. So what is the displacement? So the displacement of first object is from P to R, so the displacement is this one. How about the displacement of the second, also from the initial to the final position? So the displacement of second object is also the same. So they have different distance, but they have the same displacement. So the answer for this question has to be C. They have the same average velocity? No, because one has shorter time. So the average velocity also important concept. So this is displacement over time. So this is displacement over time taken. Over time. If they have the same time, displacement they have the same, so this quantity is the same. If they have the same time, their average velocity also will be the same, but the average speed will be different. But in this case, this time is not the same because it is given to us in a shorter time. So these two objects, they do not have the same time. So the average velocity is not the same because second object, this time is shorter. So the second object has higher average velocity. So very important concept. And average speed is the distance. So average speed, this is total distance over time taken. So we can say this is total distance over time taken. So this is, so distance and displacement, these are two different quantities. So the average velocity and average speed are also different. So you have to be clear about these concepts. Question 6 says a ball is kicked so that it has an initial velocity of 12 meters per second at an angle of 50 degrees to horizontal ground. Assume that air resistance is negligible. We need to find out what is the maximum height above the ground that is reached by the ball. So we need to find the maximum height reached by the ball. So this is parabolic path, mean this ball will follow this trajectory, this parabolic path. So this is the maximum height. For this question we need to find out value of this maximum height. And when the ball is at maximum height, vertical component of velocity will be equal to 0. We need to find maximum height, so in this case simply we can consider vertical motion only. We have to find height, so we will consider only vertical motion only. Acceleration is constant, so we can simply use 2as is equal to v square minus u square. We need to find out s. We can rearrange, we can write down v square minus u square divided by 2g. Now we need to take one direction as positive. In this case we will take up is positive because vertical displacement will be positive if you take up is positive. So if we take up is positive, so it means that this v will be positive but g will be negative. So we will write on here this is u 0 square because final velocity at this point is equal to 0. Vertical component u initial we have, so we have initial, this is 12, and the vertical component is this one. So this is vertical component of initial velocity and this one is horizontal. And vertical component we can write down, this is 12 sine of 50 degrees. So we have 12 sine of 50 degrees, so this is 50 degrees square divided by 2 times minus 9.81, so this is negative. Now if we solve this one, in this case our final answer should be equal to 4.3 meters, then this answer will be positive. So this is how we can answer this question, a typical question about projectile motion. So the answer for this question is C. Question 7 says a camera drone of mass 1.20 kg hovers at a fixed point above the ground. The drone has 4 propellers. In a time of 1.00 seconds, each propeller pushes a mass of 0.40 kg of air vertically downwards. Assume that air above the propellers is stationary. What is the speed of the air leaving each propeller? So in this case, first of all, it is given to us this drone is at a fixed point, as fixed height. It simply means that the weight of the drone is acting downwards and there is force on the drone by air that is pushing this drone in upward direction, because drone will push on the air in downward direction and air will push on the drone in upward direction. Very important point, even you can answer this question. The concept you need to understand why the drone is at one point and stationary, it's not moving vertically up and down. So because drone is pushing on the air in downward direction and as a reaction air is pushing on drone in upward direction, so that's the reason this is not falling. So this is the force by air. So this is the force by air. So in this case mg we have, because we have the mass of the drone, so we need to calculate this force. If we have calculated this force, then we can calculate the speed from here. So in this case simply we will write down mg, this is equal to f air, and f air, this is the resultant force on the air because drone is pushing air in downward direction. So this resultant force will be equal to delta mv over delta t. So this is delta mv over delta t. So we can write down this is mg, here we have v, and here we have this is delta m over delta t, delta m over delta t. in this case v we need to find out. V we have to figure out. M is given to us. M is equal to 1.20. We can multiply this one with 9.81. Value of v we need to figure out. But mass propelled by each propeller per second we have, that is 0.40, and in 1 second time is 1 second, so 1.00 seconds. We have to multiply this one by 4 because this has 4 propellers. So from here then we can figure out value of v. So v in this case will be equal to 7.36 meters per second. So this is how we can calculate value of v. Is a typical question. So in this case weight is balanced by force on drone by air. So air is pushing on the drone in upward direction and drone is pushing on air in downward direction, and that is the resultant force on air. So that's the reason we can use F is equal to rate of change of momentum. Very important concept. This is a proper way to understand this concept. So the answer for this question is C, and this is a typical question. They will ask you this question in different ways in almost every paper. So you need to understand the resultant force. This is the F net. This is equal to rate of change of momentum. So very important one. Every year there will be one question about this equation. Question 8 says a box rests on the earth as shown in the figure. Newton's third law describes how forces of the same type act in pairs. One of the forces of a pair is the weight of the box. Weight of the box is the gravitational force on the box. Gravitational force on box by earth. So this is by earth. And the reaction force will be gravitational force. It has to be the same type, so it has to be gravitational force on earth by the box, so this is the point you need to understand. So these two forces, they will form a pair. So we have in this case W, so this is acting on the box, and A is the force acting on the earth. So these two forces, they form a pair. So the answer for this question is A. Same type of forces acting on two different objects, same magnitude but opposite in direction. Question 9 says a small ball is held at the surface of liquid oil in a container. The ball is released from rest and falls through the oil. The ball has velocity v. A viscous drag force F acts on the ball. Which graph could show the variation with v of F? So for this case, simply we need to understand viscous force means the F, this drag force increases with speed. So as speed increases, drag force will also increase. At low speed, F is directly proportional to v, and at higher speeds, we need to understand F is directly proportional to v square. Or simply you can understand drag force increases with speed. So drag force has to increase with speed. As speed is increasing, it has to keep on increasing. So B is incorrect because this is telling us it's as speed is increasing, the increase in F is getting smaller and smaller. So it means this is not possible. This is telling us first of all increase, then decrease. So this is also not possible. This is telling us as speed is increasing, this is decreasing. So this is also incorrect. So the best answer for this question is A. So as speed increases, drag force get bigger and bigger. So the answer for this question is A. Question 10 says an object of mass m moving at speed u along a frictionless horizontal surface collides head-on with a stationary object of mass 4m. After the collision, the object of mass m rebounds along its initial path with 1/4 of its kinetic energy before the collision. What is the speed of the object of mass 4m after the collision? So first of all, it is given to us this object is stationary, so we can write down u2 is equal to 0. And after clean, it is given to us that m moves to the left in the opposite direction, rebound. It is given to us rebounds. We can say the speed of this one is v1. An object with mass 4m, this object has to move to the right because the force on this one is to the right. So we can say speed of this one is v, and we have to find out value of v in this case. It is given to us the final kinetic energy means 1/2 mv1 square. This is equal to 1/4 of initial kinetic energy, 1/2 mu square. So we can cancel 1/2 with 1/2, we can cancel m with m, so we left with v1 square. This is u squared divided by 4, or we can say v1, this will be equal to u divided by 2. So this is the speed of object after clean. So v1 is equal to u by 2. So we can update here. So this is u by 2. Now simply we need to use conservation of momentum. Momentum before has to be equal to momentum after, because in this case there is no net force acting on the system. So by conservation of momentum, we have to take one direction positive, we will be taking to the right as positive. So the momentum of this one is mu, momentum of this one is equal to 0, and momentum of this one we can say that is 4mv, and momentum of this one has to be negative because this is moving to the left. So we have in this case mu by 2. So this is mu by 2. We can rearrange, we can write down 4mv. This will be equal to mu plus mu by 2. So we can simplify this one. So we will get 3mu divided by 2, and here we have 4mv. So we have to find out value of v. From here we can cancel this m with this m, we can cross multiply, we will get 8v. This will be equal to 3u. So the v from here will be equal to 3u divided by 8. So this is the final answer. So this is our final answer. So the answer for this question is D, 3u divided by 8. A nice question. Simply first of all you need to understand how to calculate speed of m after clean, then simply you have to use conservation of momentum. That's all for today's lesson. I hope this lesson was helpful. If this lesson was helpful, please like and subscribe because your encouragement is very important. And if you need more help, you can also join Patreon, and the link for Patreon is in the description of this video. See you in next video.